This video is brought to you by Tall Man Toys and Comics. Do you guys remember 321 Penguins? Actually, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys remember Cubo? That one channel that not many kids had growing up? If not, then I am very, very sorry. So for those who don't know, 321 Penguins was created by Big Idea Entertainment, who also worked on VeggieTales, which, by the way, is one of the greatest educational shows ever. Though 321 Penguins wasn't as popular or even as praised as that show, though over the years it has gained a small but loyal cult following. But the question is the show actually good? Well, here are my thoughts on the show. The story. So 321 Penguins has a very odd story, but in a strange way, it is kind of creative. It's about two kids who spend over the summer with their grandma, but then suddenly when they find something in the attic, they find this little rocket ship that has 4 penguins in it. And I gotta say, that's a pretty out there plot if you ask me. It's almost like a kid-friendly version of Star Trek. The adventures these guys go on are pretty insane. One of my favorite episodes is where our main characters end up in this carnival, and it's run by this crazy alien man, and it's pretty out there, man. I won't spoil the ending if you haven't seen it, though I will admit the moral has problems, but we're going to get to the morals in here later. But it's pretty creative and very, very fun. And that's the best way to describe this whole series. Creative and fun. That's what this whole show is. Now, does the show have problems? Yeah, but most of them are going to probably involve as we go on to this video. But the story is very creative, very fun, and it is kind of engaging. As for the humor, well, it's not as funny as, say, the early VeggieTales, but it's got that feel to it. Because you can tell because, well, obviously it's from the same creators. There's some really good witty dialogue and some fun slapstick. So yeah, this is a very creative, fun, and very funny show. Maybe not everyone will like this, but it's a pretty good story nonetheless, and it's perfect for a TV series, especially for kids. The animation. Now, the one thing you gotta remember when looking at the animation is that this was made during the early 2000s. This was at a time when everything does kind of look stiff and cheap. Though to be fair with 321 Penguins, even if the animation doesn't hold up that well, for the time it was made, it looks pretty well done. The character designs do look nice, and yeah, it does have some stylization. The backgrounds do look a little bit rubbish, just a little bit, but they look fine on their own. And it does have a really good fast pace. The animation is so fast paced, it actually helps the jokes a lot more. The animation is so quick and so aesthetic that it actually works. Though my one criticism with the animation is that the human designs, especially on Michelle and Jason, look a little uncanny sometimes, especially with their expressions. So while the animation does have its problems, the team at Big Idea did a really good job with the animation. The characters. 321 Penguins may not have the most fleshed out characters, but they are pretty likable for who they are. You got Zigil, who has the big ego problem, Midgel as the engineer, Zigil as the brain-dead scientist, Kevin as the goofball comic relief. Jason and Michelle are okay, but they're not very memorable. Despite that though, they do have some really fun characters. Their dynamics is what makes the show fun. These are the kind of characters you'd want to stick around with. Now, are they memorable? Not really, but they're, like I said, they're not the most fleshed out, but they are very likable for who they are. And then finally, the morals. My one complaint with 321 Penguins is how it tells its morals. 321 Penguins sounds like they were focusing more on their stories and their world building and everything like that, but they forgot to add a moral to go along with it. Not that 321 Penguins doesn't have morals, but the way they utilize them and the way they tell them don't always make sense. Or at least, they don't know how to tell good morals, at the very least. VeggieTales did it in a very complex way. They always went from point A to point B, and they actually make sure the kids would understand it. 321 Penguins just focuses more on its adventures and its storytelling rather than telling a good moral. And it's not necessarily an awful thing, but since you are a Christian show, you got to know your audience. Christian parents and Christian audiences are going to want more than just a good story. They want a really good moral about the Bible or the religion or anything like that. And if you don't give what these Christian parents want, let's just say things get a little Karen-y, if you know what I mean. While the morals aren't bad in themselves, the way they present them isn't well thought out. So, overall, guys, it was definitely a good show to look back on. Does it have problems? Yeah, the animation's still dated and the morals don't always make sense. But at the very least, the show does have a lot going for it with its characters and adventures they go on. It's kind of sad that the show didn't last very long because I would have loved to see where the show would have went. But then again, you can't blame the past, so what can you do? The show is still available to find online, especially on YouTube. And I'm sure there's DVDs somewhere out there. Also, if you have kids, they'll probably enjoy it a lot more. Though check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Let's sing a little song with 8 little words about a rocket ship and flightless birds.